On the TOEFL Academic Discussion task, almost every student knows they need to support their opinion. But here's the thing. There's a huge difference between adequate support and the kind of elaboration that earns a top score. In this video, I'll show you exactly what strong support looks like, and I'll give you two specific patterns you can use to build it, even when you're inventing details on the spot. First, a quick overview of the task. In the academic discussion task, a professor poses a question and two students share their opinions. You have 10 minutes to read everything, write your own response, and proofread it. Your response is scored from 0 to 5, and a top score requires several things: well-elaborated explanations, examples, or details, a variety of syntactic structures, precise word choice, and almost no errors. All of these matter, but where I see most students struggle and where they have the biggest opportunity to improve is in the quality of their support. The rubric for a score of 4 says adequately elaborated. A score of 5 says well elaborated. Most students know they should support their opinion. They just don't know what well elaborated actually looks like in practice. That's what we're going to focus on. Before I show you what strong support looks like, I want you to try writing your own essay first. You'll get more out of this video if you've already written your own response. Also, I want to call out that though Magoosh TOEFL uses official ETS questions in our study plans, the upcoming question in this video is instead an expert-crafted one. Here's the prompt. An economics professor asks about the shift toward cashless payment systems. Lori argues that cashless systems are faster, more convenient, and reduce the risk of theft. Seth argues that many older adults and lower-income individuals rely on cash and could be shut out if it disappears. Go ahead and pause the video, set a timer for 10 minutes, and write your response. When you're done, come back. Then we'll walk through what strong support looks like using this exact prompt, and at the end you'll get a chance to evaluate your own response. Welcome back. Now let's talk about what separates adequate support from the kind that earns a top score, so that you can do the same in your own essays. Here's one pattern that you can apply. I call it the specific scenario. The idea is simple. Instead of making a vague general claim, you ground your support in a specific context, a place, a person, a situation, and you add concrete details that make the reader see what you mean. Let me show you the difference. Say you want to argue that going fully cashless is harmful. Here's weak support. Cashless systems are bad because they exclude people. This is a big problem that affects many communities. That's not wrong, but it's vague. It could apply to almost any topic. Now here's the same argument as a specific scenario. In my neighborhood, several elderly residents stopped shopping at a local store after it went card only because they didn't have bank accounts. The store lost so many regular customers that it eventually started accepting cash again. That's invented, but it's plausible, and that makes all the difference. Why does it work? First, it's grounded in a specific context, my neighborhood and a local store. Second, it includes a concrete chain of events. Residents stopped shopping, the store lost customers, it reversed its policy. Third, it connects directly back to the argument. This is what the rubric means by well elaborated. And here's the key. You don't need a real story. You just need one that's specific and plausible. On the TOEFL, specific and plausible beats vague and true every time. Now let's see this in a full response. Here's a sample response to the prompt. Go ahead and pause the video to read through it. Notice how it references both students by name, paraphrases their ideas, and comes in at about 130 words, comfortably within the target range. The first body paragraph uses the specific scenario pattern we covered earlier, the story about elderly residents and the local store. Now look at the second body paragraph I've copied here. This uses a different approach. I call it the real-world consequence. Instead of telling a story about something that happened in the past, you project forward. You take the other student's argument and ask, what would happen if things went wrong in the future? Lori says digital payments are faster and more convenient. The response acknowledges her point and then reveals an unintended consequence. if the entire payment network went down due to a cyber attack or outage. Everyone is stuck. No groceries, no medicine, nothing. This works because you're not attacking Lori's argument. You're showing what she didn't think about. And the consequence you describe, a cyber attack shutting down all payments, is easy to imagine. The reader immediately sees the problem. There's one more thing to call out. The first paragraph in the sample response talks about who gets left behind when cash disappears. The second paragraph talks about what happens when the technology itself fails. Those are two separate reasons, not the same reasons said in two different ways. If both paragraphs had been about people getting left behind, the response would have been weaker because it'd be so repetitive. Two different reasons make your argument stronger, so aim to cover different reasoning and different examples in your body paragraphs. Now let's recap what you've learned. And then I'll have you take another look at your own response, because editing is one of the, if not the most, important steps in improving your own writing. First, every claim needs a why. Don't just agree or disagree with a student. Follow up with a reason, an example, or a detail. That follow-up is how you score points on this task. Second, you've learned 2 patterns today for building that support. The specific scenario pattern grounds your argument in a concrete, invented story about the past. The real-world consequence pattern imagines what could happen in the future. Knowing patterns like these means you can always generate ideas and you're never stuck staring at the screen. Third, invented details are not only acceptable, they're expected under time pressure. You have 10 minutes. Nobody expects you to cite real research. The key is making your details specific and plausible. Now go back and look at the response you wrote earlier. Did you include specific, plausible support for your claims? Or did you rely on general statements like, this is a big problem, or many people are affected? If your support feels vague, try rewriting one of your body paragraphs using one of the 2 patterns. Can you turn a general claim into a specific scenario? Or can you project forward with a real-world consequence? This kind of revision is exactly how you train yourself to write strong support under time pressure. You may have noticed that the sample response had several phrases italicized. Things like, I agree with Seth's point that, to build on Seth's point, and while Lori raises a fair point about. These came from our free academic discussion templates, which include phrase menus for stating your opinion, agreeing, disagreeing, supporting your claims, and transitioning between ideas. They give you ready-made language for common organizational moves so that you can spend your time and energy on what actually earns the points, your well-elaborated support. The link to these templates is in the description below. A score of 5 requires strong elaboration, and now you have patterns to build it. But knowing is one thing, doing is another. You'll want to put these patterns into practice, and that's where Magoosh TOEFL comes in. We use official ETS questions in our study plans, so you can prep with exactly the kinds of questions you'll see on test day. Plus, with our unlimited writing feedback, you'll get advice on specific edits you can make to strengthen your essay. So, be sure to check out Magoosh TOEFL. The link is also in the description below. Thanks for watching, and happy studying.